Mano doesn't just stand there and go, you know, he's all like... How's it going, guys? Thanks so much for checking out this toy photography video, and welcome back to another toy photography basics video. It's been a while, and this entire toy photography basic video is going to be completely about posing. So posing is one of the most important, paramount things about toy photography. It doesn't matter how good or bad of a photographer you think you may or may not be, your photos will always be one step higher if you have some really good posing with your action figures. So actually, before I go any further with the posing, I want to give away this figure here. It's a Black Series Kamino Clone Trooper, one of the brand new ones. He's pretty cool, and I want to give him away in this video. So literally all you have to do is just subscribe, like the video, and comment your Instagram handle. And on December 1st, I will reveal the winner on Instagram. And if it's you, I will send this out to you. This is just another big thank you for you guys watching these videos and being awesome. So thank you guys. So like I was saying before, you could have the most beautifully sculpted, perfect toy photo ever, but if your action figure is a little awkward and not totally posed right, it can actually totally change it, and it will totally bring it down a little bit. So that's why posing is so important. So let's just go over a couple really important things to think about when you're posing your action figures. Number one, before you officially set up and take your photo, take a couple extra minutes just to look at your figure and just mess around with the posing. Take a few more minutes. Don't ever rush into it and just want to take the photo. Literally what I do is I sit on the ground in my living room and just mess with these figures for a good 20 minutes before I actually go outside and take the pictures. I'll do the posing and everything before I go out there. So just take a couple minutes and mess with the posing. Number two, do not limit your posing by how well the figure stands up. Because sometimes you will want to do this really amazing, like awesome walking pose or whatever, and it looks really good when you hold it in your hands. He's like, this looks good, and then you can't get him to stand up. You know, don't limit yourself by how well the figure will stand up with your pose. If he doesn't stand up after you pose him, grab some wire, grab one of those action figure stands that comes with your action figures, use that, and then you can do some editing afterwards or something to take it out, like in Photoshop or the Adobe Photoshop Fix app. Go ahead and do that, because you're basically settling for a subpar pose just to get him to stand up. But if you decide to use some wire, you can get them to stand up a little better and still keep that awesome pose. So don't settle for a less cool pose by how well he can stand up. Number three, utilize the entire body of the figure. So let's say, for instance, you want to have him shooting a blaster or something. You know, don't just have him stand there and just raise the arm and then that's it. Because when you watch The Mandalorian, Mano doesn't just stand there and go, you know, he's all like, or looking cool. You know, he's all so much more dynamic than that. So you got to really make sure you utilize the entire figure. So that includes, you know, his waist, his shoulders, definitely his neck, his legs, especially the waist. One of the things I see most often, and one of the things I didn't really do very often, is utilizing the waist. Because a lot of times when you're shooting a blaster, the waist is turned a little bit instead of just having a straight waist like this. So really utilize every single little joint with figure to see if you can get them in that really dynamic looking pose, especially the waist, the legs, both of the arms, shoulders. Utilize everything to get that awesome pose. Number three, how do you know, like, if the pose is good? You know, like, how do you make a good pose? So a lot of the times what I do when I'm thinking of like a walking pose, or even like something super basic like just a walking pose, I will literally get up and like start walking and like kind of like think as I'm doing it, and like what is my body doing right now as I'm walking. I'll get up and I'll think about those things. What's my waist doing? What are both my arms doing as I'm walking? And then I'll try to go back into it and make sure the figure is doing kind of what I was doing. So then you kind of get an idea of like what does an actual human walk look like? You know, like think about stuff like that, or get up and do whatever you're trying to do with your figure, and that will actually help. I know it sounds ridiculous. It'll actually help for sure. Another thing I do to get or to try and figure out what kind of cool poses I want to do, or to use like a reference for cool poses, is most of the time when you get figures, they'll have some little pictures on the box of the figure in cool poses, and that will absolutely give you some little bit of reference. So let's say, for instance, this is the amazing Yamaguchi All Might figure from My Hero Academia. The whole box is filled with different poses that the figure can do. You know, like if you've ever watched any of my live unboxing videos, I'm always looking at the box trying to put them in these poses just to like test them out. And most of the time these poses are like really awesome poses and totally true to that character. So look at the boxes of your figures and you'll get a lot of really great ideas for posing, or just some great reference. And then do your best to try and get to match that pose. And that will really help, and help you just learn new poses to do in general. Or another thing I will do to get just some pose ideas or some reference ideas, I will literally just Google on my phone like jumping pose, running pose, or I'll even look up the stock images of the figure. So let's say you have an SH Figuarts Gohan. You know, just Google SH Figuarts Gohan and you'll get the product images on Google most likely. And each one of those product images are in like a cool pose, and I will try to mimic those poses that way. There's so many different ways to get ideas for poses. So if you're taking all of those little things into account when you're posing your figures, you know, taking a little bit more time to do it, not sacrificing getting the figure to stand for the pose, using a wire, you know, getting ideas from the box or from online or from your own actions, your posing game will totally go way up and your photos will definitely start looking even better. So to flesh out the video, let's go through and do some really common poses with some common figures and see what we can do. So first, let's do a jumping pose. So we're going to use the White Ranger Lightning Collection figure by Hasbro. So first, let's do like a really cool triumphant jumping pose. We're going to utilize the whole figure. Gonna bend one knee, move one leg off to the side. Hey, Venom. And we're going to twist the waist a little bit. And how about raise that up a little bit? And you know what? Let's puff his chest out. And have him look up a little bit. All right, and there we go. We got a cool jumping pose. Really utilize the waist and the legs, really the whole entire figure. Luckily this figure is awesome. So let's go and take a shot with him. So I'm gonna stick the wire right into, kind of right into his butt, but right into the gap in the joint, and he seems to be staying pretty well. So next, let's do just a basic walking, like a badass walking pose. We're gonna use this older SH Figuarts, older Gohan figure. So we're gonna put one leg in front of the other, keep his chest going straight, just like that. And then we're gonna twist the waist, kind of like the opposite direction of the legs. So if we have the right leg going forward, we're gonna have the left arm going forward. Because then, you know, naturally your body is kind of moving that way. Stick his head down a little bit, all confident. Chest always, I love puffing the chest out with figures like this because it's like a super confident looking thing. And maybe move each one arm in the back a little bit, one arm in the front a little bit. And that's pretty much it for the walking pose. Like, a lot of times with walking, you kind of will do so much with the legs, but you really don't need to do a whole lot. Well, you don't need to stick this out far to look like he's walking. You don't need to do that. That's not really how we walk, you know? Especially in the shows, too. They're all tough and badass looking. And they just do this, you know, small little confident walk like that. And then that's about it. So let's take another shot with him. So I'm sticking a wire in the ground here for Gohan to balance on. While he's standing. There we go. Boom. For a lot of these photos, I'm getting some really cool lighting because I have the sun right behind the figure, and I'm also utilizing my little light reflector to help with that too. So if you're wondering on where to get one of these, I'll have it linked in the description below, as well as one of these and all the stuff I'm using. So, just in case you were wondering. Okay, so the next one, let's do a running pose. This is one I probably do most often, and I always do it with troopers like this. So we got the Black Series 501st Trooper. This guy's actually a little bit rare, but this basic body is pretty common with most troopers. Doing the running, so we're gonna have one leg way up, one leg way back. I'm gonna bend the knee a little bit. So, see, that is pretty static. Someone, if they're really running for their lives, they're not gonna look like that. So let's raise their gun up a little bit, blaster. I'm gonna turn the waist. We're gonna, you know, waist the opposite direction. Bring the leg up a little more. Bring the gun up a little more. Looks like he's really holding on tight. Bring that close to him. Put the head down. With him, we're definitely going to need a wire. There's no way we're gonna have him be able to stand up like this and make him still look like he's running. You know, it's not gonna work. So we're definitely going to have to use a wire to get him to stand like we were talking about before. So let's take another shot with him as well. So with the clone, we're going to do the same exact thing we did with Gohan, where he's going to be balancing up against the wire. And so if you're ever in need to remove the wires in editing, whatever, I use the real Adobe Photoshop. There's a free app on your phone you can download called Adobe Photoshop Fix. You can remove wires on that really easily. So definitely keep that in mind. So for the last pose, let's do just like a blaster shooting, pointing kind of pose. So we got the SH Figuarts full Beskar Mandalorian. Man, I love this figure. But yeah, so right now he's just got his arm up. That's not really gonna cut it. That's pretty basic. So we're going to twist the waist a little bit for sure. I like having twisted so then the gun is right in front, like of the direction. So he's not really turning so much. We're gonna spread the legs out a little bit. He's already looking better, like, and when we're shooting, we don't want to have like a bent arm or anything. No, yeah, that's gonna look silly. So arm straight out, high up, forward, like he's really trying to get somebody. Chest up, head down. And then the other arm, we kind of want to have the other arm like going back out a little bit, like he's kind of bracing himself. And that's about it for the shooting pose. I think the other arm going back like this, like he's kind of bracing himself with the other arm, I think that makes a huge difference. And, you know, probably getting him to stand like this will probably be difficult. So we'll probably have to use a wire for him also. Here's the wire. Just gonna have Mando lean right up on there. Boom. There you go. Without this wire, we would not be able to get him in this pose because he totally would have fallen down. So guys, take a little bit of extra time to pose your figures and your photos will definitely, I'm sure you'll see some difference in your photos right away. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider just leaving a like to subscribe. That would be huge. Thank you so much. But also, before we go, I just want to let you know I just added a ton of new stuff onto my store. Bunch of new prints, a lot of totally new photos that I've had, all kinds of stuff, and some new stickers as well, so definitely check that out. The link is in my bio, or just go to sirdork.com. But otherwise, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Oh, and don't forget to enter the giveaway for this guy too. Thanks so much, guys. See you in the next one.